Well, the war against ISIS may be moving out of the headlines, but it is still going strong. More shelling can be seen in the northern Syrian town of Kobani, while U.S.-led airstrikes against ISIS targets continue. Militants claim they shot down a fighter jet and, as John was just mentioning, captured a Jordanian pilot. So are we any closer to destroying ISIS? And what's the outgame with Syria? Joining us now, Stephen Yates, former Deputy Assistant to Vice President Cheney for National Security Affairs and Distinguished Fellow at the Hamilton Foundation. Thanks so much for being here today.
Happy to be with you.
Well, let's start with this horrible news out of Syria that a Jordanian pilot has been shot down. This is part of our coalition, our team there that is working to reclaim land in Syria. And a lot of land has been lost and claimed by ISIS in Syria as well as in Iraq. You know, what does this latest event mean for ISIS?
Well, for them and for us, it's a reminder that war is war, that even though it's moved off of our headlines, and even though there seemed to be an effort to have somewhat limited means used and a sterile war from a distance, this is a reminder that even when just using air power, you can end up with virtual boots on the ground if something were to go wrong. And now a lot of questions about who in the coalition is responsible for search and rescue, what will be done, does it affect the cohesion of the coalition for ISIS? Of course, they get a propaganda victory, but ISIS also violated the Geneva Convention by putting out a picture of a prisoner of war, something that should get some attention.
And we know that things have not gone well for other captives of ISIS. ISIS has been claiming more and more territory. They've been claiming land. Are they becoming more powerful, or is that tide being stemmed in some sense by the coalition?
I think it's very difficult to read. We're not getting the kind of regular briefings we've had on recent, or much less past military campaigns, steady drip out of the Pentagon briefing or others to educate us on what's going with the coalition. Even with Libya operations, we had more. So I think we see this grinding away. No discernible move in Syria. We still haven't had any clarity from the president or others in the coalition about what will become of our policy towards should we even accomplish this mission with ISIS. No measurable decisive gains against ISIS, though, to date.
You know, how effective do you think these U.S. airstrikes have been, the coalition airstrikes, and is there a path to victory that you can see at this point in time?
I don't see a path to a defined victory at this point, largely because no one's really said what the end game is. How do we know when we've won? I think the air campaign has been very effective on the targets hit. I mean, when we are determined to bring the shock and awe that our military is capable of delivering together with some coalition partners, it can make a difference. But we have a political and other elements of strategy on the ground that haven't really been worked or moved. Syria's been a magnet for foreign fighters and other influences. That hasn't changed with the organization of ISIS.
Yeah, and unfortunately, adding Libya into the mix here, the foreign minister there raising fears that his country could become the next Syria, saying that militants have claimed oil fields, including, they're saying that the same people that attacked our areas in Benghazi could be responsible for this in Libya. So where does that stand?
Well, I think that's an important reminder that this is not a struggle that's limited to particular geographies. We have a case of wanting to focus on only core al-Qaeda or just ISIS in Iraq. We're reminded that it spills over into Syria and into the broader region. And this is a force that goes to targets of opportunity, ungoverned space. And the ISIS model is to take resources of value and then build and grow. Unfortunately, it sounds like they're getting some of that progress in Libya, which would be a terrible development.
Thank you so much, Stephen Yates, former Deputy Assistant to Vice President Cheney for National Security, for joining us here today, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.